Do you want to run VARA FM with a new radio like the Yaesu FTM500? Well, it's not very hard to do. Stick around and we'll get right to it. Real quick before we get going today, I've got to give a shout out to these guys. They're my latest patrons over on Patreon. If you'd like to help support the channel, I'll leave a link to Patreon down in the description below. Okay, so before we jump into the tutorial, let me explain to you guys that I was running this with the FTM500, which there is no rig control for that particular radio, and I doubt there ever will be. So this may or may not apply if you're running a radio like the ICOM 705 or the Yaesu 891 that does have rig control. This should work perfect for radios like the FTM500. It should work perfect with HT style radios like the FT5 or the Baofangs out there. So let me go ahead and kind of show you the problem here. Let's go to settings in VARA FM and let's take a look at the sound card. And you can see that I already have my sound card selected. Now I am using a DigiRig sound card for this tutorial. Next, let's go ahead and take a look at the PTT settings, and this is where the issue comes in. In order to make the DigiRig work, we need to select the correct COM port and have it PTT on this pin with RTS. However, getting the COM port to link to the correct USB port in Linux was a little bit tricky for me. So let me go ahead and close all of this out, and we'll open up a terminal window so I can kind of walk you through exactly what's going on here. The first thing I want to do is I'm going to run ls space -l space /dev/serial /by -id. And if we go ahead and press return there, the DigiRig is the only component that I have plugged up at the moment. So you can see it listed right here with this USB Silicon Labs, and you'll see that it is linked to TTY USB 0. But how do we reach that as a COM port inside of VARA FM? That's where the trick come in. So in order to see the way this functions, remember we're dealing with wine when we're running VARA FM. So I'm going to move over from my home directory. I'm going to do CD space, we'll do the ~.wine/DOS devices. Go ahead and press return. I'm going to list out that directory, and you'll see all of our COM ports here running under wine. Now, if we run ls-l here, you'll be able to see what everything points to. Now, what I want you to pay attention to here, and let me scroll back up, you'll actually list all of these out right here. By default, the TTY USB 0 is going to be listed somewhere around COM port 33 or 34. However, in VARA FM, I think it only gives us COM port options 1 through 16. So this isn't going to work for us. Now, I tried using a symlink here to link it, and that will work, but it's not ideal because after a reboot, you may have to recreate that. In fact, sometimes when VARA FM would boot up, or when I would open VARA FM rather, it would mess up the symlinks as well. And I'm not familiar enough with wine to understand exactly why that happens. So I wanted to find another way to do that. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to run wine space reg edit and go ahead and press return. Once that box opens up, what you want to do is come over here to HKey local machine and expand that out. Then you want to expand out under software, and then you want to expand wine, and then you want to click on ports. Now you can see mine is already created right here, this string value. Let me show you how to do that real quick. You're simply going to right click here in this box, hover over new, and then we're going to come down and choose string value. In that string value for the name, you want to put the COM port that you want it to link to. In my case, I chose COM10, so you'll see that I simply have COM10 in the first value. I'm not going to do anything under this type. but under the data, I'm going to tell it that I want it to link to dev/TTY USB 0. Now, since I already have mine set up here, let's just go ahead and delete that new one that I created to make sure it doesn't have any issues. Once you get this done, you can simply close this box here, and we can go ahead and get rid of the terminal window as well. You may also need to reboot before opening VARA up after you've made that addition. But now we can go ahead and click on Settings, come down to PTT, select COM port for your PTT, and then choose COM10. By the way, here's what I was talking about. You can see COM10 is chosen. The highest number COM that we have is 16. So when it assigns it to 33 or 34, that doesn't do us any good whatsoever. So there's how we set up and configure everything to run VARA FM in Linux Mint with a radio like the Yaesu FTM500. If you found today's video helpful, be sure to give us a thumbs up before you head off. We will see you on the next one. Until then, 7-3.